Prologue, the name before names. From the book God is the Quantum Field, Rewriting the Name of the Divine Through Energy, Entanglement, and Awareness. Introduction. Before we said God, before temples were raised, before scriptures were inked, before he sat upon the throne, there was only this field, not a field of grass, not a space to walk through, but the all-containing, all-becoming presence where nothing was separate and everything was possible. This is not the invention of a new God. It is the unearthing of an ancient presence, older than language, older than form, the ground state of all that is. We have not come to destroy the sacred. We have come to remember what the sacred truly is. This is the name before names, and it is vibrating in every atom of your body. History, the exile of the infinite. To understand why we must rewrite the name of the divine, we must return to when it was first renamed. The concept of God as a male figure in the sky did not arise from nature. It arose from hierarchy. According to Karen Armstrong in A History of God, early humans worshiped the divine as force, presence, pattern, often feminine, cyclical, earth-connected. But with the rise of empires, the gods evolved. They mirrored kings, demanded loyalty, rewarded obedience. By the time monotheism emerged, God had been enthroned, not just as supreme, but as separate. What had once been felt in stars and rivers was confined to scrolls and sanctuaries. The Hebrew Yahweh, too sacred to pronounce, was softened into Lord. The ineffable became legal. And with the rise of the Christian Empire, God took on Roman traits: ruler, punisher, father, judge. As Elaine Pagels notes in the Gnostic Gospels, early Christians once viewed Christ as a revealer of inner light, a transmitter of the field within. But empire demanded hierarchy, and the divine was repackaged into authority. From then on, to question God's name was to question power itself. But something else was always whispering. Through mystics, poets, and prophets, a different language endured. The Kabbalists spoke of the Ein Sof, the infinite, unknowable source. The Sufis dissolved into ecstatic oneness with the beloved. The Taoists revered the nameless Tao. The Tao that can be named is not the eternal Tao, Laozi Tao Te Ching. These were not metaphors. They were resistance transmissions. They were voices of the field before the word God was codified into control. And now, those whispers are converging again. In a time when many walk away from religion but still ache for the real, the field is ready to be named. 2. Science, the divine revealed in the quantum set. It is not blasphemy. It is not speculation. It is physics. What mystics once knew by stillness, we now know by microscope. The atom, once thought to be solid, is not. It is 99.99% space. And what fills that space? Not emptiness, but energy. Fluctuating electromagnetic fields, quarks, probability clouds, and most foundationally, the quantum field. As Brian Greene explains in The Fabric of the Cosmos, the quantum field is not just one layer of reality. It is the stage on which all reality plays out. Every particle you see is a vibration in this field, like a ripple on the surface of an invisible ocean. You are not made of matter. You are made of patterns of vibration, collapsed into form by awareness itself. According to Carlo Rovelli in Reality is Not What It Seems, particles are not objects, they are events. Reality is not static, it is a relationship, a dance. And consciousness, as Amit Goswami, quantum physicist, explores in the self-aware universe, consciousness is not a product of matter. It is primary. It is the field that collapses the wave into experience. Let this settle. Open quote. You are not a byproduct of a distant God. You are a self-aware vibration arising from the field that holds all. Close quote. The quantum field is not poetry. It is the literal foundation of everything. It is non-local. It is invisible. It is unowned. It matches every attribute religion has ever given God, except personality, because the field is not a person. It is a presence. It is not loving in sentiment, but in function. It gives rise to all things. 3. Philosophy, rethinking the divine. If the quantum field is the fabric of reality, then theology must yield to ontology, not what do I believe, but what is. From Plotinus to Spinoza, the philosophers have long attempted to reconcile God and being. Baruch Spinoza, excommunicated for heresy, proposed that God is not outside nature, but is nature itself. God is the immanent cause of all things, he writes in Ethics. This was not atheism. It was truth without distortion. Later, Alfred North Whitehead and Teilhard de Chardin offered process-based views of God, not as static, but as evolving consciousness, interwoven with time and matter. And in our time, philosophers like I. Ain McGilchrist in The Matter with Things reveal how our left brain dominance has reduced God to certainty and control, while the deeper, intuitive right brain holds the mystery. The field. To believe in a man-shaped God is no longer intellectually defensible. It is not that God is dead. It is that the mask has crumbled. We now face the real, that all is made of conscious vibration, and that you, thinking, wondering, trembling, are not outside the system. You are the system becoming aware of itself. This is not arrogance. This is ontology. IV, spirit, the return of the nameless presence. Across mystic traditions, the same pattern emerges. God was never a person. God was the presence that breathes everything. In Advaita Vedanta, the self is not separate from Brahman, the absolute reality beneath all forms. In Zen, God is not worshipped. Only emptiness is cultivated, so the field can be experienced directly. In Christian mysticism, figures like Meister Eckhart said, "The eye with which I see God is the eye with which God sees me." In the Gospel of Thomas, the Christ says, "The kingdom is within you and all around you." Not a place, not a future, a fielded now. As Gary Zukov wrote in The Dancing Woolly Masters, the only difference between a mystic and a physicist is the language used to describe the same experience. Spirit was never meant to be separate from science. The division was fabricated to maintain power. But the soul knows. It knows that when you sit in silence and feel your breath sync with the stars, you are not praying to anything. You are returning to the field that never left you. This is the age of remembrance, of coherence, of collapse into truth. God is not male, not distant, not later. God is the quantum field moving as you, through you, collapsing into form each time you choose to awaken. Conclusion. When the field speaks your name, this is not a belief system. This is not a new religion. This is the end of the illusion that you were ever separate from what you sought. The field is not a god to worship. It is the architecture of your being. It is the silence between every word you speak, the intelligence behind every instinct, the space within which every thought arises. You were not meant to bow, you were meant to remember. The quantum field is not a poetic metaphor. It is the scientific name of God, the spiritual structure of all becoming, the philosophical resolution of self and source, the historical return of what we always knew before the world told us otherwise. This book does not ask for faith. It invites knowing. It invites coherence. It invites collapse. Because when the wave collapses, you do not find God. You find yourself. And there, in the space between the particles, the divine smiles back. Hack awakening questions. 1. What inherited image of God still shapes your perception of reality? 2. Can you embrace the idea that God may be a field, not a person? 3. What part of you still seeks external salvation instead of inner resonance? 4. How does the scientific language of the quantum field shift your spiritual understanding? Final 4 lines. You were never outside the temple. You were the temple. The field was never absent. It was simply waiting to be named.